Hello. So I'm just going to start big, and I just want to give us all kind of an overview of what the sex industry looks like in Germany. Germany has actually been called Europe's biggest brothel because of the sex industry. There are 400,000 approximately sex workers in Germany. The vast majority are women. And that meets a demand of about 1.6 million men per day who buy sex in Germany. It's a lot of men. This is a really lucrative business. It brings in 15 billion per year just in Germany. And it's funny when I look at this number because all the women that I've encountered who work in the sex industry, most of them are really, really struggling financially. They can barely feed their families or their kids. And yeah, a lot of them are homeless. So where's the money going? Because it's not going to the women. So taking it a little bit closer to home, prostitution has been legal in Berlin since 2002. They've tried to regulate it with things like laws about men wearing condoms and having the women register and being taxed, all of which, as you can imagine, is very actually hard to regulate. And so the idea was to make it safer for women, a better work environment for women, and unfortunately most professionals agree that it just hasn't seen the success that they wanted. Prostitution is still mostly underground. We have approximately 8,000 sex workers in Berlin, most of whom are women. And as you can imagine, again, this is really hard to find accurate statistics, so this is just an approximation. And there are over 600 brothels in operation in Berlin. And so a lot of the narrative that you hear, the sex industry is pretty normal in Berlin, I find, at least compared to where I'm from. It's a little bit glamorized, it's very normalized, and the narrative that you often hear is that it's just a job, like these women are empowered, they're making an empowered choice to be here. And I just want to give you a picture of like the first time that I was out there. So I'll talk more about this in a minute, but what we do, one of the things as Alabaster Jar, is we go out on the street and we just have coffee and condoms and chocolates for the women, and we just chat with them and walk around and just talk with them and give them whatever they need. And so I was out there the first time, and I'm standing there, and there's all these women on the street, looking for clients. And then along, sitting at the bars and cafes, are all their pimps watching them. And then we'll stop and we'll talk to a woman and chat, and we'll walk away, and then she'll immediately get a phone call from her pimp, and you'll just hear her say, "Oh no, they're just nice girls. They're just giving me coffee and condoms." That is not a picture of empowerment at all. So just a little more about Alabaster Jar. Here's some pictures of our team. We're one of the only organizations in Berlin that is kind of on the ground, seeking out the women, reaching out to them in their context, on their terms. So we do that in 3 ways. We have a cafe, and that's always open to the women, open when we're there to the women, but only for the women who work in the sex industry. We go out on the street, and we also go into brothels. And we offer them, like I said, coffee, condoms, food, warm clothes. We also have partnerships with other organizations in the city that can offer them practical help, medical help, the job center, social work help. And we also just want to give them a space where they can come and be safe and be heard and seen and hear their stories. And I just also want to say, too, because in a presentation like this, there's a lot of numbers and statistics, but I just want to remind us all that they're just women like us, like they're no different from us. And, we spend so much time just laughing with them, talking with them, looking at pictures of their families and their kids and their puppies. They're super funny and honest, and I've learned a lot of words in German that I definitely wouldn't have learned in language school. So, they're just like us, they're no different, but the reality of what they're living is too important not to talk about the statistics. So here are some also really scary statistics. Approximately 90% of sex workers are victims of forced prostitution. That's 9 out of 10 women, at least. 60% suffer from PTSD. It's a very violent work. 60 to 80% suffer regular abuse at work. It's not a normal job. The mortality rate of working in prostitution is 40 times above the average. You're 40 times more likely to die. And so these are just some words, and behind these words are so many stories that I could tell you, but I just want to give you more of a picture of these women just individually. We know a lot of women who have kids, a lot of them are my age, really young, who have kids. Sorry, these are for Germany. Yes. Yes, thank you. So there's a lot of women who have kids, and they're the sole provider of their kids. And so all the money they get, they're just trying to provide for their families. They also are often providing for their whole families, often who are back home in their home country, often who have no idea what they do. We have a lot of women who have abusive partners / pimps. We regularly see women who are covered in cigarette burns, who have recently been beaten up. We have one woman we know, and she has kids in her home country, but she can't go visit them because every time she does, her partner there beats her up so badly that she needs to leave. A lot of women are homeless. We recently saw a girl, and she had just been kicked out of her apartment where she was living with her boyfriend, and she was dragging all her stuff in a cart, piled high, everything she owned, just like with nowhere to go. We had a girl come into the cafe, tell us she's chronisch müde, she's always tired. Another woman told us, someone we're friends with, she said, I don't have any place to find relief. I don't even have a place to cry. So this is not an empowering picture. It is not a glamorous picture at all. And it's definitely not a job that should be normal anywhere in the world. And so what we're trying to provide is just a space where they can come and be seen, be heard, find relief, be able to cry, and that we can support them and walk with them through this journey and hopefully out of this place, because yes, it's a choice that they make to be there often, but that choice is made because they have no other choices or really terrible choices. And so just trying to wrap up because probably I'm out of time. Like I said earlier, these women are just like us, and in different circumstances, it could be you, it could be me. It happens a lot that a girl at university will go to a party, and there she meets a guy, and he starts to tell her how beautiful she is and how much he loves her, and she ends up trafficked. And so in different circumstances, if you didn't have the resources you have or the support you have or the job you have, what would you do to provide for your family? So often I just stand in front of this topic, and it's so big and paralyzing, and I don't know what to do with it. It just seems like too much. But just being with you all today and like looking out at you, there's so much power in this room. And there's so much power in just women, like a room full of women who know the truth and who want to stand up for other women who are experiencing injustice right in our city. And so my encouragement to us all today is that we, first of all, don't forget about these women, and also stand up for them and speak out and just share the truth. And let's just not let this be normal anymore. Let's not let it go untalked about or talked about in the wrong way, but let's just not let this be normal anymore in our city. And also, you can support us in our work that we're doing. Our information is here. You can look at our website or our social media. We'd love to hear from every one of you. So yeah, thank you so much.